What is going on, my beautiful people? Welcome to yet again another episode of the Pivot Mindset Podcast. Yo, we are back and at it. I just want to first say thank you for everyone that has been a part of this journey, been a part of what we're building here with the Pivot Mindset Podcast. We believe here that life is all about the pivots, and those who decide to make the pivots decide to become successful. Success is a deliberate decision that we all make each and every day. And with this episode, you get the choice to choose if you're going to make the pivots, whatever life is requiring and calling you to make. Man, we've been off for about a month. If any of you are following me on social media, you know that I just moved from Ohio to North Carolina in the Charlotte area. So during that transition, I wanted to be as present as possible, and I really just felt that a break from the podcast was necessary. So it was voluntary as far as taking the time off. But in addition to that, family got sick. I got sick, had the flu, doing a lot of traveling. It just got pretty crazy. It just got pretty nuts. Really these last like 3 to 4 weeks. But I'm back, man. I feel back. I feel charged. I feel like, you ever know that feeling of like you feel like you just turned the page. You feel like, man, you know what? Okay, today I'm recording this episode on a Monday. Like this today, I just woke up with a new energy, a new faith, a new like, okay, I'm ready. Like I feel locked back in. So, man, it's with that energy that I wanted to make sure that I cracked the mics open again and that we released another episode. So, so yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know that. In addition to that, we also have our Entrepreneur 0 to 100 that is still going on. So that is for anybody that's listening or hearing this for the very first time. Entrepreneur 0 to 100 is a community of entrepreneurs that get together every single week, and we are intentional about helping you create your first or your next six-figure business. And so we do teaching. There's a video vault that you can learn, get all the trainings from. I got my Instagram DM Profits course that's on the inside of that. We just had a bunch of people that are inside actually start new podcasts. So you'll actually be hearing those individuals on. I'm going to be inviting people that have podcasts that are part of Entrepreneur 0 to 100 onto this podcast for you guys to meet them, learn them, and connect with them. So, yeah, man. That's it. I feel like that's the housekeeping. Anything else, you can always find me on social media, _Justin Carter on Instagram. That's primarily the social media I'm on, _Justin Carter. All right, y'all, let's dive into this episode. So, man, I want to talk about a topic that is so fitting, and that is transition. I want to give some space today to talk about transitioning and how really to navigate and handle transitions. Man, transitions is such a tricky aspect of life. I believe that how you handle transitions, for the most part, will dictate how you handle life. Like if your life goes well, it means that you have done a good job at handling transitions. If the outcomes that you get or things don't go well, 9 times out of 10, it was because transition wasn't handled well, that you didn't go into transition with the right mindset, that you had wrong expectations, that you had maybe too many transitions in a short period of time, and you just didn't know how to keep up with all the craziness and all the things that was happening to you. And man, as I get older, I've made many transitions in my life. I've made, that's to me, transitions can be synonymous with pivoting, but I made transitions in my life. North Carolina is actually the 4th state that I've lived in. I lived in Ohio, California, Colorado, and now North Carolina. My prayer is that North Carolina is the last state that I live in. But regardless, it all comes down to how you handle transition and how we handled this transition. And I want to talk about transition because as I was going through this move, realized how challenging transition can be in different seasons. And really, I think the older that I get, as well as the more I accomplish, the harder transitions are. Like this transition single-handedly was way harder than all the other transitions I've experienced. Like this transition was, I mean, twice, 3 times, 10 times as difficult. I think, obviously, I think we were under spiritual warfare because there was so many amazing aspects of being here that I think the devil wasn't happy about. So I think a part of the challenge with transition was just spiritual warfare. But here's a big thing and I wanted to be able to unpack in today's episode was when you are preparing and when you're in transition, you got to realize that what you were and what you had in one season is going to be different for that new season. So what became infinitely challenging for me was when I was in Ohio, my schedule was locked in, loaded. I was super calendarized, super organized. I had back-to-back meetings for the most part, Monday through Friday. Just so much going on. I didn't really have that much space and that much time for like flack, right? I didn't have a lot of gaps in my calendar. My calendar was locked in. And so what I tried to do, here's what I attempted, y'all. Like I attempted to change my entire life but keep my calendar still. I attempted to move to a completely different state, start 2 new jobs, also continue my coaching business while still releasing podcasts. I attempted to do all of that without any change, right? And man, it smacked me in the face. After a while, I realized that I couldn't transition that way, that I had to really think differently about transition. And so I want to give you guys some really good tips on how to transition well, because there are a couple of things that served me well during this transition, and there's some stuff that didn't serve me well at all during this transition. And this isn't just for people who maybe move into a different state. This is going to be for people that you might be transitioning to a new career. You might be getting married. You might be getting a divorce, right? You might be graduating college. You might, be having a child. Like anyone that is in the midst of transition, like you're in the process of doing something different or experiencing something different. I want to really unpack that today, because I think, again, how we handle transition often is how we handle life. And if we could really maximize our ability to process and go through things and transition well, I think that how we finish a thing is often how we start a thing. And so here's the first thing that I kind of took. The first thing that I realized was that what the weight that I could carry in one season wasn't going to be the weight that I could carry in this next season initially, at least initially. So for me, like I said, when I was in Ohio, my calendar was super busy. I had a lot going on. I had a really good rhythm in the flow, and I was carrying a lot of weight. Like I was truly in my zone, carrying a lot of weight, super busy, all that stuff, right? But when I transitioned, I realized that this transition that I was under, that it was requiring a new, different version of me. And what I attempted to do was I attempted to take the weight, the calendar, my cadence, my flow from one season and try to take that into a new season. And that did not work. That did not serve me well at all. So just like when you move, right? Just like when you move a house, you've got to unpack. You got to take the stuff off the walls. You got to break down the beds. You got to pack up the dishes, right? You got to take your clothes out of the drawers, put them in boxes, all that kind of stuff, right? Just like that, so does your spirit, your emotional, your mindset. All those things have to go through that same experience. You got to be okay with you're getting ready to land a plane that maybe have been in the air for quite some time. And you've got to be okay with the transition and knowing that you're not going to be operating at that same level, at least initially, once you transplant. I was struggling, y'all. Like when we moved here, I was like, okay, cool. We're here. It's going to take us a weekend to unpack, right? I'm being super aggressive. It's going to take us a weekend to unpack. And come Monday, I'm ready to hit the ground running. I didn't actually even take any real time off to do any transitioning. We moved on a weekend. Monday, I was back at it. And I realized that you can't do that. I realized how important it is to Give yourself the grace and the space to truly transition and to truly understand, here it is, the movement that's necessary for the new season. The whole part of your transition is to experience a new season. And if you don't understand the muscle and the new movement in the new season, you could try to add weight on way too early and actually hurt yourself, right? Like you got to know that you can't add all the things back on until you understand the new rhythm, or you'll take old experiences, old outcomes, old versions of you into a new season. And so I think one of the best aspects of the new season that you're transitioning in is that you get the chance to be a completely different person. But you can't be that different person if you're trying to transition the old habits, the old schedule, the old cadence, the old calendar into the new life, right? You're just going to literally repeat and perpetuate the person that you were before. And it's not to say that the person that you were before was bad, but what it is to say is that person is not going to be serving you in this new season. A new immersion, a new person has to emerge that you currently are not yet. And so while you're transitioning, whatever that transition is, you've got to be okay with like the docile and the meagerness of new beginnings and what transition really feels like. So that's a big one. Here's another one that really kind of like slapped me in the face, if you will, it was that I am not, and you are not, an infinite resource. That just because you have the ability in your heart and the ability in your mind doesn't mean your physical body can take that level of stress for that extended amount of time. For me, our entire house actually ended up getting the flu, and we were down for probably about 2 weeks straight. And what I realized was that the flu, I don't think I got, like, I feel like I wouldn't have got it if I would have taken more time to rest and taking more time to truly like be more present and give myself grace to like be connected into the moment and what I was experiencing. And so when you're transitioning, what you got to be careful about is that you don't exhaust yourself so much that you become prey or fall susceptible to life's issues and forces and influences that are trying to take you down, right? I could have, this is what I could have done. I could have taken 2 to 3 days off, right? Or taken 2 to 3 days or a week off to really make sure that I transitioned well and that I had the proper rest and all that kind of stuff. Or you could have done it like me, which is what happened to me, was I didn't take any time off and I ended up getting sick and I needed to really take 2 weeks off, right? Because I actually got sick now, right? So you gotta know that your body is a limited resource. I know some of us, like y'all grinding, you're hustling, like we want to be all things to all people, X, Y, and Z, right? But you got to know your body truly is a limited resource and your health is your wealth. And if you're not taking care of your body during transition, whatever that is, maybe you're transitioning from like one tax bracket to another. Let's talk about that transition, right? Like maybe you're transitioning and you're leveling up. You still have to make sure that you're taking care of your body, that your body is the temple, your temple. And if you are not healthy, everything that you're trying to do is going to be all in vain. So for me, I realized how important it was to really get proper rest and to really know that the pressure of what I was doing and the impacts that it would have on my body, okay? So when you're transitioning, make sure that you're getting rest. Make sure that you're slowing down, that you're giving yourself grace to be able to uphold and do the thing that you really want to do. And for the sake of like creating a third point for the podcast is the third thing that I want to talk about is making sure that the people around you, that especially if you are an entrepreneur and if you own a business, making sure that you've got people around you that can move the ball and move the needle when you are not there. This is why I think it's so important to have accountability, as well as if you're a business owner, you got to have systems in place. You got to have people in place that can take the ball and keep the needle moving and keep things going when you're not able to. For me personally, I was so thankful for my team because during adversity, really provides people opportunity to step up. And I just felt that my team really rose to the occasion. Like they really showed up. They were still booking appointments. They were still we were still getting some content out as much as possible. Like we were still moving the ball forward. And I think that's a very important aspect, that no matter what, you got to determine what does moving the ball forward, or what does moving the needle, what I call, like, what does moving the needle really look like in this new environment, right? Like maybe you can't move the needle as far as you used to, as fast as you used to, but maybe moving the needle means that you are able to do, maybe you used to be able to do 10 steps, but now moving the needle is like you get to do 1. And that's still moving the needle, right? You've got to be able to reassess what needle moving activity looks like for you in that moment while you're transitioning, okay? And so I just wanted to give you that. Your boy is back. But man, I just feel like as we are closing out a year, it's crazy to think. I think we got like 5-6 weeks left in 2022. And we're actually getting ready to go into a transition of a year, right? Like we're getting ready to transition to a new year. That is a time for a lot of people to start transitioning their mindset and transitioning their body. And I just feel like we're in a season right now where a lot of people are going through transitions. Handle your transitions well, and your life will be handled well. And so I think it's all about how we can adapt and handle the transitions that are coming our way. Okay. And so that's all I got for you this episode. I just wanted to encourage you, as you all are making transitions, to continue to truly move in the ways that make sense, and to use my experiences, right? Like use the things that I didn't do so well as learning experiences to help you transition the best way possible. So I thank you for checking out this episode. As always, give this podcast a rating, give this podcast a review. Please give it a 5 stars up if you're on Apple or Spotify, wherever you're listening to this. And to my YouTube warriors, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button on this episode. I thank you again for checking this out. And remember, life is all about the pivots, and those who decide to make the pivots decide to become successful. Peace.